Welcome to our channel. In today's video, we'll be delving into the chilling annals of history to explore the lives of 5 women who have left a dark and lasting impact. From notorious rulers to infamous figures associated with unspeakable cruelty, join us as we unveil the top 5 cruelest women in history. These compelling stories shed light on the often haunting intersection of power, influence, and the human capacity for brutality. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up if you're ready to embark on this journey into the darker side of the past. Queen Mary the Fans, the daughter of Henry VIII and Catherine of Aragon, ascended to the English throne in 1553. Her reign, lasting from 1553 to 1558, is notorious for its religious turmoil and the persecution of Protestants, earning her the nickname Bloody Mary. Mary's efforts to restore Catholicism to England were marked by a series of harsh measures against those who opposed her religious policies. Mary was a devout Catholic and sought to reverse the Protestant reforms initiated by her father and later continued by her half-brother, Edward VI. She aimed to return England to the Catholic faith and saw Protestantism as a threat to the established order. Mary's first major action was the repeal of the Protestant religious laws passed during the reign of Edward VI. The Act of Supremacy was abolished, and the heresy laws were reinstated, giving the authorities the power to prosecute those deemed heretics. One of the most infamous aspects of Mary's reign was the persecution of Protestants, particularly prominent figures in the Protestant movement. Hundreds of Protestants, including clergy, were arrested, tried for heresy, and subsequently executed. The preferred method of execution for heretics was burning at the stake. The Marian persecutions led to the deaths of notable figures such as Thomas Cranmer, the Archbishop of Canterbury, and Hugh Latimer, a prominent Protestant preacher. The persecution forced many Protestant reformers to flee the country, and they became known as the Marian exiles. They sought refuge in Protestant-leaning European countries, where they continued their religious activities and later returned to England after Mary's death. Mary's reign had a profound impact on English history. The harsh religious policies and persecution stained her legacy, contributing to the enduring epithet Bloody Mary. The subsequent reign of her sister Elizabeth I saw the establishment of a more moderate religious settlement that attempted to bridge the gap between Catholic and Protestant practices. It's important to note that Mary's actions were influenced by her religious convictions and the volatile political and religious climate of the time. The Bloody Mary era remains a controversial period in English history, sparking debates about religious tolerance and the role of monarchy in matters of faith. Countess Elizabeth Báthory, born in 1560 into the powerful Báthory family of Hungary, is infamous for the heinous crimes attributed to her during the late 16th and early 17th centuries. Though the exact details of her actions are shrouded in historical speculation and sensationalism, she has gained a notorious reputation as one of the most prolific female serial killers in history. Elizabeth Báthory belonged to one of the most prominent noble families in Hungary. Her family's influence and wealth afforded her a privileged upbringing and access to education. Elizabeth married Count Ferenc Nadasdy in 1575, and the couple became powerful landowners. Following her husband's death in 1604, Elizabeth assumed control of their extensive estates, which included numerous castles and villages. The allegations against Elizabeth Báthory include accusations of sadistic and cruel treatment of her servants and young peasant women. Reports suggest that she engaged in acts of torture, mutilation, and murder, with some accounts describing extreme brutality such as beating, burning, and mutilating her victims. Elizabeth Báthory earned the monikers Blood Countess and Countess Dracula due to the gruesome nature of the crimes attributed to her. Legends and stories grew around her, with some tales even suggesting that she bathed in the blood of young virgins in a misguided attempt to maintain her youth and beauty. It's important to note that these sensationalized accounts may not have a basis in historical fact. In 1610, The extent of Elizabeth's alleged crimes led to an investigation and trial. While she was not formally convicted, her accomplices were found guilty. Elizabeth was placed under house arrest in Countess Castle, where she remained until her death in 1614. It's worth mentioning that the noble status of Elizabeth Báthory likely shielded her from the full extent of legal consequences that a commoner might have faced. The historical accuracy of the allegations against Elizabeth Báthory is a matter of debate among historians. Some argue that her reputation was tarnished by political rivals, while others believe that her actions were indeed brutal. The lack of contemporary and reliable sources makes it challenging to separate fact from fiction in the case of Elizabeth Báthory. Despite the uncertainties surrounding her life and actions, Elizabeth Báthory's legacy endures as a dark chapter in Hungarian history and as a symbol of female criminality in popular culture. Empress Zetian, born in 625, was a remarkable and controversial figure in Chinese history. She became the only woman to rule China in her own right, ascending to the throne and reigning from 690 to 705 during the Tang dynasty. Zetian's rule was characterized by both notable achievements and a series of political intrigues marked by purges and ruthless methods. Zetian initially entered the imperial court as a concubine of Emperor Taizong. After his death, she married his successor, Emperor Gaozong, and became the Empress. Following the deaths of both Taizong and Gaozong, she managed to secure power for herself by manipulating the court and eliminating political rivals. In 690, Zetian seized the throne, declaring herself the Empress Regnant and establishing the Zhou dynasty, breaking away from the Tang dynasty. This move made her the only woman in Chinese history to rule as emperor in her own right. Zetian implemented various reforms that had a lasting impact on Chinese society. She promoted Buddhism, commissioned major construction projects, and expanded educational opportunities for women. Her administration is often credited with advancements in literature, art, and agriculture. Zetian's rule was marked by political intrigue and the elimination of perceived threats to her power. She employed a network of spies and secret police to monitor the imperial court, leading to the removal and execution of officials who posed a challenge to her authority. This included members of the powerful clans and factions that could potentially oppose her rule. In 694, Zetian faced a rebellion known as the Xuanzheng Hall Incident, orchestrated by disgruntled officials and members of the imperial family. The rebellion was swiftly crushed, resulting in the execution or exile of those involved. As Zetian aged, her rule faced increasing criticism, and allegations of cruelty and excess were leveled against her. In 705, she abdicated in favor of her son, Emperor Zhongzong, and took the title of Empress Dowager. She died later that year. Zetian's legacy is complex. While she is often remembered for her achievements and progressive policies, her methods of consolidating and maintaining power through purges and political intrigue have left a controversial mark on history. The historical record is shaped by both admiration for her accomplishments and condemnation for her ruthless methods. Queen Ranavalona I of Madagascar, who reigned from 1828 to 1861, was a powerful but controversial monarch known for her authoritarian rule and the implementation of severe measures to maintain control. Her reign was marked by brutal policies, including mass executions, forced labor, and the persecution of Christians. Ranavalona came to power after the death of her husband, King Radama I, in 1828. Initially, she served as regent for her young son, but she later declared herself queen and took on the full responsibilities of rulership. One of the defining features of Ranavalona's reign was her commitment to preserving Madagascar's independence and protecting it from European colonization. She implemented isolationist policies, resisting foreign influence and expelling European missionaries and traders from the island. Ranavalona viewed Christianity as a potential source of foreign influence and a threat to her rule. As a result, she actively persecuted Christians, including the Malagasy converts. Missionaries were expelled, and those who refused to renounce their faith faced persecution, imprisonment, or execution. Ranavalona sought to strengthen the Merina Kingdom, the central highland region of Madagascar, and expand its territory. She employed a system of forced labor, known as fanompoana, where laborers were compelled to work on public infrastructure projects, such as roads and palaces, to serve the interests of the state. Ranavalona's rule was characterized by harsh punishments and mass executions. She used a variety of methods, including strangulation, impalement, and throwing individuals off cliffs. These measures were often employed to quell dissent, suppress potential uprisings, or eliminate perceived threats to her rule. The queen conducted military campaigns to expand her kingdom's borders and suppress internal revolts. She faced resistance from various factions, including the coastal communities that were affected by her isolationist policies and from those who opposed the brutal methods employed by her government. Queen Ranavalona. I's legacy is complex and controversial. While she is remembered for her efforts to maintain Madagascar's independence, her ruthless methods and the human cost of her policies have left a lasting negative impression. The impact of her reign on the country's population and the brutality of her measures have been subjects of historical debate and discussion. Irma Grese, born on October 7, 1923, in Germany, gained infamy during World War II as a concentration camp guard notorious for her sadistic and cruel treatment of prisoners. She became known as the Beautiful Beast or the Hyena of Auschwitz. Grese's actions, along with her eventual trial and execution, are a chilling part of the dark history of the Holocaust. Irma Grese grew up in a lower-middle-class family in Germany and joined the Hitler Youth at a young age. In 1942, at the age of 19, she volunteered to join the SS, Schutzstaffel, and was assigned to work in concentration camps. Grese was stationed at Auschwitz in 1943, where she worked as a guard. Her duties included overseeing prisoners, selecting individuals for extermination, and participating in acts of extreme cruelty. She gained a reputation for her brutality and sadistic behavior. Grese was known for her relentless abuse of prisoners. She would beat and torment inmates, and she reportedly took pleasure in unleashing her dogs on prisoners. Witnesses later testified that she engaged in acts of extreme cruelty, showing no remorse for the suffering she inflicted. Grese played a role in the selection process, deciding which prisoners would be sent to the gas chambers. Her role in these selections reflected her active participation in the systematic extermination of thousands of innocent lives. In 1944, Grese was transferred to Bergen-Belsen concentration camp, where she continued her brutal actions. The conditions at Bergen-Belsen were dire, with mass starvation, disease, and a lack of sanitation contributing to the death toll. In April 1945, as Allied forces advanced and closed in on Germany, Bergen-Belsen was liberated. Irma Grese was captured by British forces and later identified by former prisoners and colleagues. She, along with other SS members, was arrested and held for trial. Grese, along with other SS personnel, was tried at the Belsen trial in 1945. Witnesses testified about her sadistic behavior and participation in atrocities. She was charged with war crimes, crimes against humanity, and violations of the laws and customs of war. Irma Grese was found guilty on all charges during the trial. On December 13, 1945, at the age of 22, she was hanged at Hamelin Prison. Her execution marked the culmination of the Allied efforts to hold individuals accountable for their roles in the Holocaust.